Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Running Temple podcast. I'm Brad, and I'm an online running coach. I've recently just started my online running coaching business called the Running Temple, which is quite exciting. So I offer personalised training plans, injury prevention tips, running session plans, race prep and pacing strategies, motivation and accountability, and also weekly check-ins and constant support. So, a bit about me and my running journey, a bit about my background. So, in 2019, I turned up at my local park run, and I didn't really expect anything of it, really. I never really ran previously. I did a few cross-country races in secondary school, so there was no real prior fitness or level that I could sort of rely on for this. So I started the 5k, and yeah, I did surprisingly better than what I thought. So I finished at around 22 and a half minutes, around 40th place. And I thought, okay, this is actually better than what I thought. So I went again the next week, and I knocked off some more seconds, got quicker, and again the next week. And I thought, okay, I'm enjoying this, surprisingly. So I started running pretty much every day, and yeah, it sort of snowballed from there, really. I knocked off a good few minutes quite quickly, and then after about a month of running, pretty much most days, I got to sub 19 at the age of 16, which I was really, really proud of. And I thought, right, I want to take this running a bit seriously now. So I looked online for running clubs, and I found Liverpool Running Club. And joining that running club was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, because it's given me so many opportunities, so much knowledge. I've made some amazing friends. It's just been absolutely brilliant. So they immediately said, sign up to some races, get Strava, get this, these clothes, these shoes. So I signed up for my first 10k race then, which was the Wilmslow 10k. And it was in the summer, so it was quite hot. And I finished in sub 40. It was, that was my first 10k, and I put in some training. It was really just running, 3 or 4 miles outside. It wasn't anything, mega at the time. And I thought, wow, okay, this is, I'm getting somewhere with this running. And then, they said, right, why don't you try a half marathon? So I tried the Liverpool half marathon in 2023. I ran that time of around 1 hour 35. And I thought, right, I'm really enjoying my running now. I'm getting fair. For me, I was really, really proud of that time. And they were saying, you're getting really good times. So I thought, okay, what's next? Of course, the marathon. So I signed up to the Manchester Marathon shortly after. No expectations, really. It was sort of off the cuff. I had no real training for it. I was going in blind, really. My running experience, my knowledge wasn't as great at the time, so I didn't really know how much training I should put in and, stuff like that. So I got to start line. I was very nervous. Thousands of runners behind me getting ready as well. Crowds on the side. Yeah, it was quite a daunting experience, to be honest with you. And yeah, so started the race, got halfway through, saw my family. It was great. They were sort of cheering me on. Loads of runners running through the town centre. It was a good atmosphere. I was enjoying it. And yeah, I finished a time of 3 hours 12. And I was absolutely delighted with that time, because my main goal was actually just to finish it, to be honest. So getting that time, it was a lot better than what I had in my head. So after that, I thought, do I want to do a marathon again? Probably not, but after a few weeks, I signed up to my next marathon, and that was the Chester Marathon at the end of 2023. And that was a bit different because there weren't as many people on the course. It was sort of, you run in the countryside, you were on your own with your own mind, your thoughts, just you running. So it was a bit of a different experience this time. And I finished that in 2 hours 54 it was, which made me the 5th fastest marathon runner in Britain for my age, which was the under 20 category. Fast forward to the next year, which was 2024, I entered the London Marathon. So at the time I got in Chester, actually qualified me to get into London Marathon, as it was like a good for age time for my category. And well, London was just a surreal experience. Getting on the train with all the runners, everyone's got the bags on, everyone's getting ready. There was so many people there. And then you head to the start line and it's just unbelievable. So many people there. Everyone's getting ready. Everyone's full of adrenaline, nerves. It's just hard to describe, really, the experience and, what I was feeling at the time, really. So I started the London Marathon, and there was a fellow athlete called Nick Bester, and he was actually recording a vlog at the time, and I thought, right, I'll just stick with him because it was just nice to sort of run with sort of someone who I'd been watching for a few years. And unfortunately, my laces undone straight away, so I was panicking. I had to do my laces, and then fast forward a couple 100 meters, they're undone again. So that wasn't great, really. I was full of nerves and panic at the time, and it just wasn't great. But I tried catching him up, so I started sprinting towards him, and I thought, I'm 1 kilometre into the marathon and I'm sprinting already, and it just wasn't good. So I stayed with him for the rest of the race, and I actually finished in 2 hours 45, which was just, I couldn't believe it. I was full of emotions at the end on the finish line, seeing my family, and it was just probably the best experience I've ever had. There was crowds everywhere on the course. Usually there's sort of places and streets where there's no one there, but this was totally different. There was crowds everywhere, every single road, every single street, there was people there. And crossing London Bridge was just, it was amazing. There was so many people on the sides, whacking the boom whackers. It was incredible. And it was something that I'll always remember for the rest of my life, really. Then fast forward another year to 2025. In April, I ran the London Marathon again. And unfortunately, around the 20th mile, I actually collapsed. And that was something that I never expected or wanted to happen in my wildest dreams. It was unfortunate, really, but partly to do with my own fault. I didn't have enough fluids in my body. I didn't have enough food sort of prior to the race. It was really hot, so I didn't drink enough fluids along the way. So all these factors really just, I paid the price, and it was the ultimate price, really. So unfortunately, I didn't finish the race, and that was sort of telling for me because I never want to quit. I never want to sort of give in or, stop or anything like that. I've always wanted to try and finish the race. So that's where I wanted to sort of put things right, really. And I thought, right, I want to help other people not make the same mistake. So I thought, right, what can I do? So I launched the Running Temple. And it started off really well so far. People have been getting involved. My coaching's getting more knowledgeable. I'm learning more, which is great. And ultimately, I want to take this as far as possible and help as many people as I can, because ultimately my aim is just to give people the joy and the pleasure of hitting those PBs, feeling physically better, not making the same mistakes that I did, giving them a structured plan in place to help them achieve those targets and feel better in themselves. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. And launching this business has given me the platform to do that. So yeah, I think it's a good place to sort of wrap this up. That was episode 1, sort of just an introduction really into what I'm offering, a bit about me. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it.